Before you add a bed, extend the lawn, or squeeze in one more shrub, decide what that piece of yard needs to do. Give it one primary job: a route, a sitting area, screening, planting, water handling, or open working space. That one decision can prevent years of small corrections. And one of these 7 choices may tell you to leave part of the yard unplanted, because access can be more useful than another bed. A yard rarely becomes hard to maintain overnight. The trouble usually appears a little at a time. A path gets tight, one corner stays wet, a shrub needs constant cutting. A patch of lawn is still being mowed even though nobody uses it. So when a part of the yard feels unfinished, do not begin with, "What can I put here?" Begin with, "What does this area need to do?" Picture an open rectangle between a patio and the rest of the backyard. It may look unfinished simply because nothing is planted in the middle. But if that is where a folding table comes out for projects, where children or pets use the open ground, or where the family spreads out during a gathering, flexibility may be the real job. Filling the space because it looks empty can remove a use you did not notice until it was gone. Now take the opposite case. Maybe one sheltered corner near the house keeps attracting a chair, even though there is no formal sitting area there. People already pause there because it has shade, a better view, or protection from wind. That repeated behavior is useful information. Instead of adding another decorative bed because the corner looks bare, the long-term choice may be to support the use that is already happening. The point is not that every empty area needs a formal purpose. It is that a permanent landscape change should make an existing job easier or create a job the household actually wants. For any area you are thinking about changing, finish one sentence. This area needs to. If you cannot finish it, watch how the space is used before making the next permanent move. And if the space already performs its job well, that is enough. Empty room is not a defect that always needs another feature. Water is the next decision because it can make almost every other choice in the yard look wrong. A soggy bed is not automatically a plant problem. Mulch washing across a walkway is not necessarily an edging problem. A dry-looking patch does not automatically mean the sprinkler should run longer. Before changing the landscape, find out where the water comes from, where it travels, and where it ends up. The easiest time to learn this is during a substantial rain or just after one. Look at roof runoff and paved surfaces. Watch the slope. Notice whether water spreads out and soaks in, collects in a low spot, crosses a path, or moves towards something that needs to stay dry. Also notice when the problem appears. If the puddle shows up after every irrigation cycle, but not after ordinary rain, regrading the yard may be the wrong first move. A leaking head, overspray, or a schedule that applies water faster than the soil can take it may be creating the wet spot. If the same path forms during heavy rain with the irrigation off, you are looking at a different problem. That observation can separate 2 very different situations. One yard may simply have a low planting area that stays wetter than the bed 10 feet away. If the water is not threatening a structure or creating another serious problem, the useful response may be to treat that spot as a wetter site and plant for it. Another yard may have water repeatedly crossing hardscape, cutting a channel down a slope, or collecting where it can damage property. Changing the plants will not solve the real problem there. The water path itself needs attention. This is where generic online rules can cause trouble. There is no single national grading percentage, drain outlet, rain garden location, or foundation distance that fits every property. Soil, slope, utilities, septic systems, neighboring lots, and local stormwater rules can change what is safe and allowed. So diagnose before you build. During the next good rain, take a few photos or a short video. Identify the source, the route, and the low point. If the issue is simple surface water inside a planting area, That information may point to a modest planting or drainage adjustment. If water is threatening a building, causing serious erosion, repeatedly flooding hardscape, or would need to be redirected beyond your property, check local guidance or get qualified help before moving it. Once you know the water path, stop treating the symptoms. Replacing mulch for the fourth time will not fix runoff that keeps bringing it back to the same sidewalk. Plant selection comes next, and this is where a reassuring label can do too much of the thinking.
Native, drought tolerant, low maintenance, full sun, and a USDA hardiness zone can all be useful information. They are starting points, not proof that a plant fits one exact spot in your yard. A plant can be native to your region and still come from a habitat very different from the place you want to put it. A species adapted to moist ground may struggle in a hot, dry bed beside pavement. Another native from the same general region may be a much better match. Drought tolerance also has limits. It does not tell you that a plant likes poor drainage, heavy shade, humid summers, or neglect during establishment. And USDA hardiness zones mainly tell you about winter cold tolerance. They do not describe summer heat, drainage, wind, soil, or every microclimate around the house. Instead of collecting positive labels, look for the condition that could disqualify the plant. Maybe the bed stays wet for 2 days after rain. Maybe the west side of the house gets intense afternoon heat. Maybe mature tree roots make a shaded area surprisingly dry. Maybe winter moisture is the weak point. Maybe the available space is simply too small for the plant's normal form. You do not need a 20-point checklist. Identify the 2 or 3 conditions most likely to make the plant struggle. Then compare those with the actual species or cultivar you are considering. For example, imagine 2 spots that are both labeled full sun. One is an open bed with decent air movement and soil that drains after rain. The other is a narrow strip beside hot pavement where reflected heat builds in late afternoon and water either runs off or sits in compacted soil. The same plant label can be technically true in both places, while the actual growing conditions are very different. The label narrows the choices. The real site decides whether the plant is a practical fit. Native plants can be excellent choices, especially when they match local habitat and support regional wildlife. But nativity does not erase the need for site fit. A well-adapted, non-invasive plant can also be practical when it matches the conditions. The point is to stop asking a broad label to settle a local decision. For a plant that is already in the yard, use the same test before you pile on more care. If it used to perform well and now struggles, ask what changed around it. A maturing tree may have changed the light and root competition. A new downspout path may have changed the moisture. Nearby pavement may have changed the heat. Sometimes the lasting fix is moving or replacing one plant, not watering, feeding, and pruning harder every year. If one major requirement clearly conflicts with the site, move on. A plant that naturally fits the place usually needs less rescuing, replacing, and correcting later. There is another kind of fit that has nothing to do with the plant tag. Can you maintain the bed without making the bed itself harder to work in? This is where a little open space inside or beside a planting can save more time than squeezing in one more plant. Before you widen a bed or fill the last bare pocket, imagine the least convenient job you will have to do there. Can you reach the back of the bed to weed, prune, inspect a plant, repair irrigation, or spread mulch without stepping on crowns or compacting the soil? Can you work around a large shrub once it has leaves on it, not just while everything is small in spring? If the bed is narrow enough to maintain comfortably from the edge, keep it simple. You do not need to invent an internal path. If the bed is deep, dense, or wrapped around a large shrub, create one deliberate maintenance point before the planting fills in. That might be a discrete stepping surface, a short service gap between plant groups, or an open edge where you can enter without crushing anything.
The exact solution depends on the bed, but the job is the same. Give yourself a reliable way to reach what will need attention later. This is especially useful around irrigation components, drainage features, or other items that may need periodic inspection. Do not bury access under a plant just because the plant looks small today. Exact clearance requirements can vary by equipment and local rules, so follow the requirements for the actual item rather than a made-up universal distance. Then test the layout from both sides. If you can reach the working parts of the bed without climbing through the planting, stop. Bare access space that has a job is not unfinished landscaping. The long-term question is simple. When this bed is full size, will routine maintenance still have a way in? The next choice is about irrigation, which is different from drainage. Drainage asks where unwanted water goes. Irrigation asks how you deliberately deliver water to plants that need it. Many established yards are watered according to where the pipes or sprinkler heads happen to be. The plants may have been changed 3 times, while the watering zones stayed exactly the same. That can leave turf, shrubs, sunny areas, shaded areas, new plants, and established plants tied to one schedule, even when their needs do not line up. A better way to think about the system is in hydrozones, areas where the plants and conditions can reasonably share a watering approach. EPA WaterSense specifically recommends grouping plants with similar water needs, and it treats turf and shrub areas as different hydrozones because their needs differ. But exposure alone does not give you the schedule. A shaded bed beside a building may lose water more slowly, while a bed under a large tree can still dry quickly because the tree roots are competing for moisture. Soil, slope, weather, plant type, and the way the water is applied all matter. For an existing yard, start by mapping what already happens. Turn on one irrigation zone at a time and see what it actually waters. Note the main plant groups, the sun and shade pattern, and any places that are repeatedly too wet, too dry, or receiving water on pavement. Then look for the mismatch that keeps creating extra work. Maybe turf and shrubs are locked together, even though one schedule does not suit both. Maybe one newly planted area needs temporary establishment water, while the rest of the zone is mature. Maybe one thirsty group is forcing you to overwater everything around it. That new plant case is worth separating from the permanent design. A tree or shrub may need extra water while its roots establish, but that does not mean every established plant on the same side of the yard should inherit that heavier schedule forever. Temporary hand watering or a temporary adjustment can sometimes solve an establishment need without turning it into the long-term rule for the whole zone. There are several ways to correct that. Sometimes the zone or delivery method should change. Sometimes the schedule needs adjustment. And sometimes the simplest landscape fix is to replace the odd plant group with something that can live on the same watering pattern as its neighbors. Micro-irrigation can work very well for many gardens, trees, and shrubs, and weather or soil moisture-based controllers can reduce waste in the right system. None of those tools replaces the basic question: are you watering plants together that actually belong together? When an area has compatible needs and receives enough water without chronic runoff, overspray, or obvious overwatering, resist the urge to keep optimizing it. The goal is a system you can understand and maintain, not a perfect diagram. Plant size still matters, but the useful question is not simply, will it fit in the bed? Ask whether its normal, mature form fits both the space and the maintenance style you actually want. Start with the mature height and width of the actual species or cultivar, then look beyond the mulch. Where do people walk? Where does a gate swing? Does another plant need room nearby? Are overhead or underground utilities part of the site? Then make one more distinction: natural form versus intentional training. A formal hedge is supposed to be clipped. Espalier is trained on purpose. A homeowner who genuinely wants that look may be choosing regular pruning as part of the design, and that is a valid trade. The problem is different when you want a relaxed shrub but choose one that only fits if you keep forcing it to half its normal size. That is not ordinary pruning anymore. The maintenance routine is compensating for the original size decision. Use the plant's normal habit as the test.
If an upright shrub naturally reaches the height you need without spreading into the walkway, that is a good fit. If a broad arching shrub would have to be squared off every season just to keep the gate usable, either give it more room or choose a naturally smaller form. This also helps with an existing plant. Do not remove a mature shrub just because one branch reaches into a path. First, ask whether normal selective pruning can restore the clearance while leaving most of the plant in its natural form. If that solves the problem and the plant stays manageable, keep it. If the whole plant has to be repeatedly reduced far below its normal size to make the space function, the mismatch is structural rather than cosmetic. Trees deserve the same future view test on a larger scale. Check mature crown size, nearby structures, and overhead utilities before planting. Locate underground utilities before you dig. In the United States, 811 is the national Call Before You Dig service. Specialized questions about roots, paving, structures, or utility conflicts deserve site-specific guidance rather than a rule of thumb copied from another yard. The stop rule is not never prune. It is this: if the plant's normal size and form already fit the job, do not create a permanent shaping routine just because the nursery specimen looks small today. The last choice is what keeps an established yard from becoming one giant redo. Change the part that stopped working without automatically removing everything that still does. Landscapes change even when nobody makes a mistake. Plants mature, water patterns shift, household routines change, and a feature that once had a clear job may stop earning the work it requires. The best plan at installation is not guaranteed to be the best plan forever. When one area starts creating work, find the recurring correction first. What do you keep doing because the yard keeps putting the same problem back? Maybe mulch washes from the same corner after every hard rain. Maybe one thirstier plant group keeps forcing extra hand watering inside an otherwise compatible bed. Maybe one edge of a planting has begun to interfere with the way people now enter the patio. Maybe a shrub still looks good, but blocks access to something that did not need frequent service when the bed was first planted. That repeated job points to the relationship that may no longer fit. Suppose a downspout was changed, and one end of a long border is now consistently wetter than the rest. The bed shape still works, and most of the plants are healthy. After you confirm the new water path is not creating a drainage or property problem, changing only the plants in that wetter section may make more sense than rebuilding the whole border. Or suppose the way the family uses a patio has changed, and one planting edge now pinches the root to the seating area. You may be able to move or reduce that one edge. Live with the new circulation for a while, and leave the rest of the established planting alone. The same approach works when the problem is irrigation. If one plant group repeatedly needs a different watering schedule from everything around it, first decide whether that group still belongs in that hydrozone. Replacing one mismatch may solve more work than redesigning the entire bed or permanently increasing irrigation for everything else. Do the smallest change that can actually test the diagnosis. If you think circulation is the problem, clear or shift one edge before changing the whole bed. If you think the moisture pattern changed, observe that one section through several normal watering or rain events before you redesign around it. If you think one plant group is the mismatch, change that group before changing the irrigation strategy for the entire yard. Then use the result as information. A small first change can reveal that the original problem was narrower than it looked. It can also reveal the opposite. Perhaps the wet area extends farther than you thought, or the new root still feels cramped.
or the watering mismatch involves more than one group. Either way, you learn before disturbing everything else. Phase changes also make it easier to keep the parts of the yard that are already earning their place. Mature plants that fit, a path that works, a useful bed shape, and an irrigation zone that is behaving well do not need to be sacrificed just because one nearby relationship changed. There are times to act more broadly. Water threatening a structure, a hazardous tree, failing hardscape, or damaged infrastructure may need a larger plan and qualified help. Phasing is for a yard that is basically functional but has one or two relationships that no longer make sense. So keep what still works. Change the recurring problem first. Then watch what happens before taking on the next section. A yard that gets easier to maintain is not one that never changes. It is one where each change leaves fewer things fighting the way the space is actually used. Walk your yard once with that in mind. Find the job you keep repeating for the same reason, and ask which decision underneath it has stopped working. What part of your yard works differently now than it did when it was first planted?